What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Stephanie White, right? And how I think that uh, Stephanie White bringing in a another point guard off the street and allowing her to log heavy minutes, in my opinion, how I feel like that's disrespectful to Caitlin Clark, right? Because if she thinks that less, or that if she think that Caitlin Clark is so easy to replace, that you can just bring somebody in off the street and then allow them to log heavy minutes, that's delusional, right? And I want to get to some of what Jason Whitlock even said about the situation, because he's going to help me make my point, and I agree with what he's saying. Like, you can't bring somebody in who's not even game ready and allow them to log heavy minutes. And I mean, if I'm Caitlin Clark, I feel like I'm insulted, because, like, for what Caitlin Clark brings to the table, and then you think you can bring somebody off the street and just not miss a beat and keep on rolling. That it got to be an insult. And so let me play some of what Jason Whitlock says about this situation, bringing somebody in off of the street.
Sidney Colson and R.A. McDonald, they brought in a new point guard, Odyssey Sims. I kind of like Odyssey Sims. When she was on an opposing team, she had nice things to say about Caitlin Clark. But there's no way I'm bringing in an off-the-street free agent and throwing her immediately out there into the rotation to the extent of 13 minutes last night. I think her plus minus was minus 14. She missed all four shots she took. She had some horrible turnovers. She wasn't game ready. From a physical standpoint, she looks a little overweight, and just from an energy and urgency.
And let me stop it right there, right? Exactly. She was not game ready. She missing shots. She shouldn't even really have been out there, like he said. Unless you blowing somebody out, but there's no reason for her to have been out there, right? That's number one. Then number two, why not, like everybody who's already on the team, why not move Lexi Hall up, give Lexi Hall more minutes, move Kelsey Mitchell over to the point guard, allow Kelsey Mitchell to the game before that, Kelsey Mitchell did a pretty good job. And so this was an opportunity for Stephanie White to even more so enforce her game plan, her the culture that she wants to her girls, the way she want her girls to play. But when you bring somebody new, somebody who's not familiar with the culture, or not familiar with what the coach want them to do, now you're teaching this new person, and you're slowing the rest of the team down so she can get caught up. And that's not good coaching, in my opinion. She could have sat on the bench while Lexi Hall, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, and Aaliyah Boston, right? Those could have been your core. Those could have been your core, and then the other young ladies who have been there also, who have longer tenure than the young lady that they brought off the street, would have got some minutes. But not somebody off the street, not somebody who is somebody who's not in game shape. It to me, you gotta question, like I don't know what she was thinking about when she brought this young lady in there and log heavy minutes, turn the ball over. They were down by 17 points at one time against the Dallas Wings, right? Managed to come back and could have possibly won it. I think they would have won that game had she not had this other young lady in there making mistakes. And it's Sims, it's not even her fault. It's the coach's fault. When you think that you can you can bring somebody in there off the street and have her do Caitlin Clark's job, You know, and like I said, this team just came off of, they had won like 5 in a row. I think they won 8 out of 11, and they were starting to gel into the team that Stephanie White wanted them to. And so when you don't want to, as a coach, don't want to disrupt or set your team back, because now you have to, the point guard is a connection to the coach. Now you have to reestablish a new connection with a new point guard, when you just could have moved Kelsey Mitchell over and allow Kelsey Mitchell to run the guard. Even at one point in time with the Chicago Bulls, early in Michael Jordan's career, they had like a stretch where Michael Jordan, he played guard for a short stretch. He played point guard for a short stretch. It's a change in roles, and he did well playing point guard for that short stretch. And it's not something that he wanted to do, but he was familiar with what the team chemistry was, what the team culture was, and what they was trying to accomplish as a team. That's how you do it. You promote from within. Anytime you promote from without, that means that you're in a rebuilding type stage. And so when you're rebuilding, everything is like flexible, and you trying to get everybody on to learn a certain style or culture, right? That's not where they at. They trying to get into the playoffs and get a good seeding, whereas though the Indiana Fever, whereas though they don't have to go, in the first round and play up against the Liberty. They don't want to do that, But, to bring somebody off the street and allow them to play heavy minutes, I think that's disrespectful to Caitlin Clark. You think that bringing somebody off the street who's not game ready can replace Caitlin Clark just like that. I just would, to me, that's just major disrespect. But let me get back to some more of what Jason Whitlock is saying and comment on that.
What an inbounds pass where she didn't move towards the basketball, and I think the girl's name Quinn Early or whatever stole the ball from her easily and got a layup. And I'm just, this girl ain't ready. Why Stephanie White got her out here for 13, 14 minutes? This is insanity. No way someone coming off the street should be out there for that many minutes in their initial game. They're not ready mentally or physically. Ease them in, or I wouldn't even have played her, because the night before they just proved, with Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell sharing the point guard responsibilities, that they don't need a true point guard.
Exactly. You have people already on the team who more than capable of doing the job, number one, and then number two, they familiar with what's going on the team as far as like their like what they trying to accomplish out there. So now you want to wait until like almost 3/4 of the way through the season, really 3/4 of the way season, and bring in a new face who's not in shape, and now you're trying to get her up to speed. Even by the playoff, I don't even think by the playoffs, if she sat on the bench, she still wouldn't be ready for what they trying to do. And so I don't get it, but and I was giving Stephanie White some credit, as far as like when they was on their winning streak. I said, all right, so now it's becoming apparent like what she's trying to accomplish. But this right here just sets the team back. Nobody could get into a rhythm. Kelsey Mitchell couldn't get into a rhythm. Sophie Cunningham couldn't get into a rhythm. Nobody. Aaliyah, Lexi Hall, nobody was into a rhythm, because you got a new face out there at the point guard position, logging heavy minutes. It's not going to work. For this to work with that young lady, it's going to take weeks and weeks for them to get on the same page, or maybe it could, and that's on the good. That's on the low end. It'll take a while, for your point guard to really run the show the way you want it to.
So I got a problem with Stephanie White again, and I had been, easing off my criticism of Stephanie White, and perhaps I shouldn't have. But here's Stephanie White after the game. She's got this obsession with having a point guard out there who is totally dependent on Stephanie White and will, allegedly run the offense in a way that Stephanie White is comfortable.
I mean, I don't know if that, even if that's the case, if she want to have a point guard out there that's totally comfortable, and that even takes time to develop. Like the coach and the point guard, like it take the point guard a while to get to know the coach and to bring somebody again off the street to know what the coach's expectations are, to know what the coach want them to do in certain situations. That that takes time. You just can't. That's disrespectful. Um, and as a coach, like I don't know, as a coach, it would be obvious to her to know that like this young lady don't know what's going on. She's not going to be able to execute my game plan because she don't have a full grasp of what my game plan is. She don't understand that the players, their tendency, her teammates and their tendencies and stuff like that. Where can I give Aaliyah Boston the ball? Where I shouldn't allow or give Natasha Howard the ball. Natasha Howard is handling the ball way too far away from the rim. She's just way too far away from the rim, from the basket, and so the Dallas Wings beat them, and I think that their loss to the Dallas Wings was more so about Stephanie White than it was the Dallas Wings. And the Dallas Wings at one point in time was up by 17. They took their foot off the gas and almost gave the game back to them. But Stephanie White, man, got to do better. She definitely has, she has to do better. I was like, wow, man, I can't believe this young lady is out there logging heavy minutes. Like Caitlin Clark is replaceable. So this makes it look like if she think that Caitlin Clark is replaceable like that, that like I said, that's disrespectful for her to have her out there, and she think that like she thinks that less of Caitlin Clark's job and Caitlin Clark's contribution to the team that she could bring somebody, out the audience, that was selling popcorn and bring them in there, and yeah, it just was crazy, man. So tonight, Friday night, they will be going up against the Washington Mystics, man. And I just hope that she is wise enough to go with her core five, her, you know what I mean? Lexi Hall, Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, and Brianna. I mean, not Brianna, Aaliyah Boston, and allow them to maintain, that culture and that, and everything until Caitlin Clark can get back. You bringing in point guards who, man, it don't make no sense. That's just disrespectful to not only Caitlin Clark but everybody on the team who's working to try to learn and to build a culture and a chemistry together. And you bring somebody off the street and y'all starting back from ground zero. Yeah, man, I was gonna get back to some more what Jason Whitlock said, but you pretty much get the gist, of where I'm going with this. Hopefully Friday when they play against the Mystics, that's this evening, they'll do better. We'll see. And with that being said, man, I will make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check y'all out on the next episode. Peace.